There are several Islandora modules that expose usage statistics for individual objects directly on the object's pages. Today I'll be demonstrating three of them: Islandora usage reports, Islandora usage stats charts, and Islandora usage stats CSV. Each of these is dependent on the core module Islandora usage stats, which writes usage statistics to the database. We have other ways of gathering usage stats external to Islandora, which are explained in our documentation and other videos. To get started, though, we'll enable the module or modules that we want to use. In this case, I'll enable all three under the Modules menu. There's Islandora usage reports, charts, CSV. Each of these modules provides a Drupal block that appears when viewing an Islandora object. All you need to do is find the block you want to display in the Blocks menu and place it in the region where you want it visible. The Blocks menu is found under Structure, Blocks. So we'll start with the simplest one. Islandora usage reports provides the object usage block. There it is. We'll configure the block. We'll leave the block title blank because we don't want extra text that takes up space. Under region settings, we'll put it in sidebar second. So we choose which theme. We're using Bartok. So sidebar second. This will put it on the right side of the screen. You could also put it in content or sidebar first, which is the left sidebar, or anywhere else on the page if you want to. I choose the second one because it looks nicest in my setup. You could put it anywhere you want if you're feeling creative. You'll see also that by default here, it's set up to only show under pages where the path is Islandora/object/whatever, so it'll only show up on Islandora objects. We'll save the block. And let's take a look at an Islandora object now. And there you'll see the block has appeared, showing that this object has had 10 views and has been downloaded once. Next, we'll take a look at Islandora usage stats charts. This module gets its data from the same place as the last one, but it breaks it down by date into a bar graph. So to start, it's the same principle. We'll go to the Blocks administration, find charts. You'll see that there are two available blocks, the collection level report and the object level report. You can use them both if you want the chart to be visible on both collections and non-collection objects. You can skip the collection one if you don't. You can configure the block. Again, you can choose to put it in any region you want. I'm going to put it in the content section, and I'll do both of them. Because I want the chart to appear below the main object content, the image and all that stuff. So I'm going to make sure it's positioned below main page. I want them at the very bottom. Next, you have to configure these modules. It's under configuration, Islandora configuration, Islandora utility modules, Islandora usage stats charts. You can customize it in lots of ways. You can change the colors using the hexadecimal colors, RGB, or other stuff. You can customize how wide the chart is going to be, which is a good idea because by default it will fill up the screen. You can choose how many months at most to show. So right now it's set to cap out at 6 months. And you can choose to omit certain data streams from the download stats. Here, if the relsext has been downloaded or the mods data stream has been downloaded, that doesn't get counted as a download. We also don't want to count, for example, the TN or thumbnail data stream as a download. We're only really caring about the object file here. The most important thing, though, is hidden, this allowed content models menu. So by default, none of these are selected, meaning the chart won't appear when you look at any kind of object. So we will check off all the object types that we want the usage stats chart to appear on. And save. Now let's take a look at our object. Scroll down to the bottom, and there's the usage statistics block. And there, because we've set the chart to be quite large, it shows the number of views, the 10 views we've had in the last month. Now you'll notice it doesn't show the downloads because we didn't check off the show data stream download stats. Let's change the width of that chart as well. Let's say to 20 M and see how that looks. There we are. We have our one download and our 10 views, and it's much smaller. Now, if you want a more modest approach to displaying usage stats on an object, you can take the CSV approach. The configuration is similar to how the charts works under blocks. You can enable the block in our chosen region. Let's drop it into the second sidebar again. Under Islandora utility modules, we'll configure the usage stats CSV module. You'll see you can configure the text that shows up as your download link. You can choose to either provide aggregate download numbers or numbers for each data stream. And you can choose which ones get excluded, and again, which content models are covered. And save. Let's look at our object once more. And there's our CSV block. Now if we wanted to configure it a little more, get rid of that usage statistics title, we could set it to none. There you go. And now, if I download the object, or not the object, the file, wait for Excel to load. And there we see our downloads. So item is views, downloads is downloads. And we get the month that they appeared in, and if we had more months, then we would get more columns. Now you can also have the CSV link appear in the usage statistics area, and you can see there it is. If you have the module enabled and you've configured Islandora usage stats charts to show the link to the download.csv file. If you don't check it off, then it won't appear.